waiting for the show to start, make sure y'all hit the like button. Sub to the page if you're here for the first time. Drop a comment with your fantasy take or your bold prediction, and let's get these championships. We go over start-sit decisions weekly, trade questions, live mock drafts throughout the offseason, and answer a ton of questions throughout the year. So make sure y'all show some love. Even if you disagree with what I got to say, just know we put out the best fantasy content right here on J-Hen Fantasy. What's good, y'all? Your boy Justin Henry here. Got LaQuan Jones on the other side of me, and today we are going to be going over the first 3 rounds of fantasy. Now, we've done a lot of mock drafts here. We've had a lot of discussion, but sometimes it's good to just go over what ADP looks like and talk about players we like, players we dislike. Maybe there's something that we disagree on and figure out why we disagree on those, if it's the player, if it's ADP. So shout out to y'all for rocking with us, those who got here early in the chat. And don't forget to get your tickets to Fantasy Football Training Camp, August 2nd and 3rd. It's a virtual event. We're going to have a ton of surprises on the way. I'm going to be there. Quan, you going to be there too, right? Pull up.
Yes, sir. Oh, you know I'm sliding through, bro. I'm here for all the festivities, but
Yes,
this
sir.
looks like this is about to be a fire event, bro. Like, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, it's going to be fire, man. So make sure y'all get your tickets. I'm not going to tell y'all too many more times that it's free because the free is going to run out at some point. So once the free is done.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Can't do too much for y'all. Let it help out. Y'all be asking for the free. That's the free ski right now. Fantasy Football Training Camp. Make sure to get your tickets now before things change, and they will change very quickly here soon. Shout out to those who got to the chat early. What are your thoughts on Kyle Williams? Very good question. Quan, I'm going to pass this to you first, and then, or I don't know which side you on. I'll be looking, you know what I'm saying? It's yourself you look on. I think it's this side on the actual screen. Talk to me, though, about Kyle Williams, man. There's a lot of hype about him right now. Stephon Diggs is now there. Demario Douglas was the guy last year. Everybody's expecting to leap up for Drake May. What are your thoughts on Kyle Williams?
Listen, this is where it's going to have to come down to is the trenches, man. Like, is Drake May even going to have the time to be hitting Kyle Williams on that deep ball? Because he is a deep threat, and I think there's opportunity for him to expand that route tree to be a more reliable all-around wide receiver. But again, folks, we've been outside trying to buy these Patriots wide receivers for a couple years ago. Like, this may be a new regime, but it's still the old thinking of the old regime. Like, let's keep it a buck. Like, it's still the same folks in the building. So I do feel like, Kyle Williams, man, in most drafts, if it's like 15, 16 round, like redraft, I don't really see him getting picked up. You know what I mean? Because you would think the average redraft league, they got about 15, 16 rounds. Those last picks are probably your kicker and defenses for the consensus still out there playing Stone Age formats over here with the defenses, bro. I'm sick of it. That's where I'm at. Bro, I'm cooked off of that, bro. But anyway, Kyle Williams, bro, like I do feel like he's a watch list guy because I do think at one point, if it's in the early part of the season, he does something crazy on a Sunday and then he might become a waiver wire pickup. Just utilize that watch list tool, man. Like that is such a clutch tool where I'm not going through the waiver wire trying to find dude or trying to see where he at. I could just have that watch list already pulled up and just have the list of players I want to watch the first, couple weeks in football.
Yeah, he's an interesting player because I can see the hype. He's talented, and I think Stephon Diggs is kind of taking him under his wing. But where it's starting to miss me is, like, I think people are expecting him to be, like, the number 1 in New England, and that's not going to be the case. Like, this team's going to go through the ground game. You draft Travion Henderson. You already have Ramondre Stevenson, and you use Drake May's legs. So we already have the blueprint, this Buffalo Bills type blueprint where we're going to use kind of the ground and pound, play in this AFC East, drag things out so we don't have to go against this Miami high-powered offense and some of these other AFC teams. Now, where you miss me is he's not the number 1 here, and he may not be the number 2. He might even struggle to be the 3rd or 4th option in this passing game. So you have to take him right now as the wide receiver 2. But in essence, we have Demario Douglas here, who was the number 1 receiver on this team last year and is still going to get his 80 to 100 targets. You now bring on Stephon Diggs, who's going to command somewhere around 100 targets at least if he can stay healthy all season. You also have Travion Henderson, who is known as a pass-catching running back in the backfield and could be this team's James White type running back, and they use him 50 to 75 receptions. That number is slowly starting to dwindle. Not to mention, you have a veteran tight end in Hunter Henry, who's been established on this team. And then all the other 2nd and 3rd round picks at the receiver position that this team has, Kendrick Bourne, Javon Baker, Jalen Polk, like Tyquan, I don't even know half of them still on the team, but it's the same type of player. So for me, I'm out on Kyle Williams. If he hits, probably be on somebody else's roster, or as you mentioned, it'll be on my watch list about week 3 because he had a big play.
Yep, there you go. That's all it is.
There it is, bro. What up, J-Hen? Leopard Print, what's good? That's an awkward ass name, Leopard Print. Henderson undervalued. Henderson undervalued in my opinion. Stevenson was awful last year. Talked he could be moved and has had fumbling issues. Henderson big time upside with McDaniel's offense and added talent on O line. Where you at when it comes to Travion Henderson?
He's one of the under talked about, rookie prospects that we're really going to be evaluating this summer in training camp, trying to figure out if they're going to make our fantasy rosters at the end of August. So, like, when I look at Henderson, like, you have RJ Harvey obviously going to be talked to the moon because your boy over here. And then you obviously have Ashton Genty as the consensus. When these folks come back outside and they looking at rankings, they going to be like, all right, is Genty. Henderson's living in that mid round where, like, I'm making that decision. Do I go David Montgomery or Travion Henderson? But I do see that, you could paint a picture where Travion Henderson is the sole workhorse back. I just don't agree with that because if you look at last year, he shared the backfield with Jokins. I mean, his freshman year was the last time he was an actual workload type of running back. So I do think Stevenson's going to be that over in the side ton of carries in the red zone as well. And I do think that, with Stevenson being a pass catching back as well, there may be some times where they're going to be splitting that target share, and that's going to be a headache. So I understand that, there's excitement on the player, but the situation, we don't have clear vision of what that could possibly be to fantasy relevancy.
Yeah, it's he's one of the like kind of he's a mysterious pick because he
Yeah.
provides a lot of upside of like the top 25, but then there's also the floor of like you might be the backup still. You might not be involved in this offense. So he is kind of that dynamic type player. And I think, it's not bad to have him as like your RB3. I think if you can get some two established options and have him as your RB3, could be good to go.
Yeah.
A lot of upside. We're working on the mic, my man. We trying to fix, you know what I'm saying? We talking about the mic. It sound better now, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? We all good. Jay Hen, thoughts on Trey Harris? Saw some TikTok fools hyping him up. This is the time of year where every player is going to get hyped up. So
Yeah.
you got to understand what you're listening to. And I think one of the things when it comes to Trey Harris is that he's going to have a role, but this is a run heavy offense, in my opinion. So I'm not really in on like the Chargers receivers. We've talked about like Lad McConkey kind of being a little bit more of a fade. If you want to get some touchdown upside late, I'm not mad at it. But you got Mike Williams there too. We'll see if he's able to hit the field to start the season.
Problem with Trey is he ain't signing that contract.
That too. What's up? So I talked with Tyler Health about this a couple days ago. What do you think about these second round picks? You think that these guarantee contracts are going to come? Do you think that they're going to report to camp? Like, there's a lot of holdouts right now over this bread.
Now, when you look at Jaden Higgins and Carson Swellinger, the other two that signed the second round picks, and they got a lot of guaranteed money for second rounders. And I think, Jaden Higgins, I think, more so the 11.4 million guarantee, I think that's the number, but I think more so is like his importance to this offense.
Yeah.
What is lacking? Y'all lost two wide receivers last year. I know I am a first round talent. I ain't going the first round, but I am a first round talent and I'm going to become plug and play. That's why these folks are trying to get paid. Some of these rookies are identifying their situations, like Trey Harris got Mike Williams on pup list already. Quentin Johnson looks like a failed project. Look, I hate when they come outside for QJ, but it's so annoying, man.
How's he a failed project? He's produced.
He's produced. See you on that side. I'm good. We here. I'm glad we made it
Let's
to the
talk about it because he's
conversation.
produced. Like,
Welcome to the show. Now, listen, with QJ, I see the improvement, but do you see my boy's catch rate? Like it's not matching to where it needs to be if you're going to be seeing this volume as a number one or two. Like it's not the hands aren't matching. The touchdowns are great. Blown coverage, maybe that's football IQ. Maybe he's creating those blown coverages because I like to go back and see how the play developed before I call it a blown coverage. But some of those touchdowns were blown coverage. Some
right.
of
It's true.
miscommunication. With Trey Harris, I think he's identifying his importance to the team, right? And I think that's what a lot of these second rounders are getting in their bag for. It's 30 out of the 32 that didn't sign. Like it ain't just one.
That's
Terrence Ferguson, tight end, different positions, all holding out. You know what I mean? To where like
that fourth year.
And my point to get to is Trey Harris missing time in camp. That's detrimental to that chemistry you're building with your starting quarterback. And that goes back into what happened with QJ, like the chemistry and everything else. Like that is so important for these rookies. So I think Trey Harris, he was a big time prospect. I was pushing up there with Jaden Higgins and all the conversation. I'm a little standoffish now. Like this is pivoting, people. This is when you get new information and you adjust the rankings because I need that time and chemistry with these rookies and their starting quarterback to be fantasy relevant on Sundays.
Yeah, and it's okay to like kind of take in the information, adjust. we're
Yeah.
a month and a half, we're 2 months out from the season starting. So it's very good
Yeah.
to take in the information and adjust your rankings. And when it comes to these guys like being in camp, that is important. We saw the slow start from the Bengals last year with all the holdouts with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and things like that. And we've seen it over the years. CeeDee Lamb has been another one, like slow start because you're not in
Yeah.
camp. So hopefully you get Trey Harris in camp. I don't understand the hype behind it. And maybe they're just not happy with if you're really big on Lad and Quentin Johnson's still there, and you got two running backs now. Like, I don't know. I don't see
Low
that.
pass volume as well. I think with Trey, it's the talent that we stick on. And I say we because I'm part of that crowd. The potential him getting like you going from Jackson Dart to Justin Herbert. This is a good leap forward to get on that NFL level to establish more production than he had in his last year at Ole Miss. So I'm thinking he is the prototype X that the Chargers have been looking for. They found it. We have our X. And I think you know how we were explaining that lack of chemistry, lack of training camp is going to play a huge factor.
Yeah, hopefully not, man. Listen, I don't know that we'll get to a mock draft today, so if you're here just for that, you can dip. We're gonna get some good, but we are gonna have our little own mock draft. We're gonna be going over all the ADP right now, the first 3 rounds, and
Yeah.
talking about players that are a little too pushed up, and maybe some that are a little undervalued that should be in that round. So we're gonna use the Fantasy Pros ADP over the first, what I'm saying, PPR over the first 3 rounds. So
Word.
let's get into this first round right now, my man. And one of the things that obviously is going to be a big debate is who is the number one pick, LaQuan? Is who are you taking? Are you taking Bijan? You taking Jamar Chase? You taking Saquon? I think those are universally the three options. And in PPR leagues, the number one, kind of without question, according to ADP, is Jamar Chase. What do you think about him as
Mhm.
the number one pick?
I like it. I mean, you going with an offense we know going to throw the ball 650 times, and Joe Burrow is his quarterback, and obviously the chemistry they built is unmatched. Like I don't think we've seen better chemistry like that for a very long time. I mean, it makes me think of Matt Ryan and freaking Julio Jones and how they was cutting it up in those years. So it's like it's something that's going to be like consensus, like a no brainer here at 101. But personally, I like Bijan at one. Like I'm just a Bijan guy, bro. Like I just feel
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter. Like I'm not going to scream at you. You come off the board with Chase, and I land Bijan at two. You know, or vice
yeah.
versa.
I feel like they're both. You could obviously Bijan's going second right now in the same conversation, but with Chase, it's like you have to kind of respect what he did last year. He's a receiver. He has that upside for those elite weeks, those 40, 50-point weeks, which everybody covets. And he's part of a very high-powered offense as well. So I think if you
Hmm.
were going to lean to Jamar Chase, like you said, it's nothing worth arguing about because I think you could go either way. It's your pick at the top of the first round. As far as me, I'm with you. I'm on Bijan Robinson's side here. I think we could see a Saquon
Word.
Barkley like season with the pass catching, with the touchdown work, just with what we saw with Michael Penix as a starter. I think the one question I have for you is Jamar Chase. I had concerns about him over the first couple seasons. Like he was getting banged up. And
Mhm.
obviously, like he didn't see the full season. It was him that was hurt, Joe Burrow that was hurt. Are all those questions now gone and we can forgive Jamar Chase because he had the season he had last year, or should we still be thinking about
Hell
that?
no. Oh, hold up. You don't forget anything like that.
See?
We don't forget Joe Burrow was banged up a couple weeks and them games was looking real ugly for Chase. Like folks forget. No, heavens no. You keep that in the chamber and understand the decision you're making. That's why I'm cool with Bijan as the one. I don't really have that many like memory banks about Bijan of where he's hurt my team several weeks, you know? Like we know when Burrow was out, what Chase was working. We know what Chase banged up those weeks that we're not hitting those 20 fantasy points that we're used to, you know? Like I do feel like, again, I'm not going to argue with whatever the other, but you never forget things like that, bro. It goes into your decision making.
You can't forget that because and especially the things that made you hesitant on them because I did this a couple of years ago with Travis Etienne. And I was
Mhm.
like, nah, he got more workload and he started fading. Like I noticed that in his first 2 years. And then his third year, he popped off. And I think he was like a top three running back that year. And I was saying, fade him in the fourth round. Well, he popped off, and I was like, damn, maybe I need to like kind of rethink my process. And I was really going through like, damn, why did I miss on Travis Etienne? Because it felt like he was a player you should fade.
Yeah.
Sure as shit, the next year, now we see a lot of the same things that I had concerns about the year before. They happened again. So I think with Jamar Chase, it's not that I'm concerned. Can he be the wide receiver one? I think he deserves to be the first pick off the board. but I'm not taking him there because of concerns that I have. And he also has a lot of big games and some drop offs, massive drop offs outside of those big games.
He'll put up 11 strong points in a game. He should put up 30. Nah, dead serious. Like, you cool with it? Like, all right, don't do this next week because
Yeah.
you're gonna have some issues.
What about Bijan? So just real quick on Bijan. Obviously, both of us like him. What was
Yeah.
your thought process on making him your number one running back or your number one player,
Now,
so to speak?
number one player off the board, just with Zach Robbins. We spoke about who's on the sticks and how far he falls from the McVay tree.
Yep.
And there's just always a clear understanding of getting the ball in your player's best hands. If it's Drake London, if it's the emergence of Kyle Pitts or whatever, but Darnell Mooney, this offense is going to be explosive and they're going to want to go downfield often with Michael Penix at the quarterback position. I mean, a 10.2 ADOT. This is his average target of where he's placing that ball in the receiver or pass catcher's hands. And we know Bijan, he ran the most routes last season among all the running backs. So we know he's going to be involved in that vertical attack. And we know with that ball in his hands in open space, it's a house call. It's the upside of a house call in this type of offense for Bijan is going to be freak level like type of video games this year. Like that's how excited I am about Bijan, and that's why he's my number one off the board.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think one of the things we saw last year once Michael Penix got in there is like they were using him in the red zone. They got rid of Tyler Algier. So that was no longer this epidemic that was going on. Can he be? But I think a lot of people didn't realize the first half of the year, he was kind of mid, like dealing with an injury himself. He was mid for us as fantasy owners. And then when things turned up, we were like, oh shit, this is what we were expecting out of Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
And we did see a whole lot of one thing last year that I think we're going to see a lot more of this year. Than big plays. We didn't see a whole lot of like 50 yards, 60 yard, 70 yard. And that's what he's known for. He's known to being able to like rip one off. You talked about it. And how's that thing? We didn't actually get to see a whole lot of that out of this offense last year. So my thought with Bijan is we see more big plays, more touchdowns, and just more success overall. That Saquon Barkley-like upside, which doesn't happen very often for running backs. They get 1 or 2 years like that. I think it's Bijan's time.
Facts.
Yo, we have talked about top receiver, top running back, and they're not the names that we've expected, right? Justin Jefferson used to be in this conversation, and he's a third player off the board right now.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy's in at quarterback, no longer with Sam Darnold. You think Justin Jefferson deserves to be the third pick off the board?
Yes. I think, we're not discounting him how we were discounting him last year. Let's get that for straight. I'm cool with that 3. Last year, he was falling to like the 7, 8. You know what I mean? That 7, 8 pick is where Puka and Neighbors is at right now.
Yeah.
Like you might be making that same mistake, but at 3, you're just taking the chance that you're hoping KOC, Kevin O'Connell, has that guru touch on this quarterback. And they feel strongly confident, even with the Aaron Rodgers rumors. Like when big media heads were reporting it, like they were sitting cool, calm, and collected, dropping videos about JJ working out, him doing interviews, and the whole little mini dark villain arc era or whatever trailer that was that they posted with him. Like JJ's their guy, and they felt confident about that even last year, drafting him over, playing him over Sam Darnold. So like there's something about this kid that they feel so confident about that he'll be able to dish it out just like a Sam Darnold, it maybe if not better. So I feel like, just as long as the system is there and there's an understanding of the culture and everything else of Justin Jefferson's our function, he's our operation. He's always going to have that high target share. He always has that high ceiling of just taking it to the house, doing something like his catches last year. You start going back in the catches the year before. It's like you don't know which era this is from of just crazy highlights. So that's the type of player he is. So like I really don't have no worries about JJ.
It's one of those things we've seen him with bad quarterback play. So the team invested a first-round pick in JJ McCarthy. Unless you just think he's going to be ass, he's probably going to be a 3,000 to 3,500 yard passer, which is on brand with about where Sam Darnold was and a lot of other quarterbacks who have been in this system were. And the people who play under Kevin O'Connell, it's like he is the one calling plays. You think he's not going to lob him up to his guy, Justin Jefferson? I mean, 150 targets at minimum. He's going to see 100 catches, probably about 1,500 yards. It's just who he is as a player. So I think the upside is probably the one thing he doesn't have that Jamar Chase does have. But as far as floor, I think Justin Jefferson is probably the safest 1,500 yards in all of football. So for me to get him at this 3 spot, the only other player I'd be considering here is Saquon, maybe CD. But I think he's a little bit safer than CeeDee Lamb. So for me, I like getting Justin Jefferson in PPR leagues, 3 receiver leagues. Justin Jefferson here at the 3rd spot, I think is right.
That's a blessing.
What about Saquon though? Madden cover. I mean, he was on a tear last year in this Philly offense. They're running it back, same core. Saquon at four, CD, Jameer, like Saquon at four, he could have been the number one pick.
Now I said on here before, I'm still standing on that. You know, in the middle of July, where I'm not taking another running back in the first round if it ain't Bijan. And I feel like the reason why a lot of this Saquon talk right now is happening is because recency bias. It's what we've last seen. We're not putting in consideration of how much football this dude just played. Like he just ran for 2,000 yards. I mean, we've seen the greats, the legends, the Barry Sanders, the OJ Simpsons. That following season, there's a drop off in production. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? For a reason, because that's playing a lot of football. So I think, maybe we get more scoring opportunities without the tush push. Maybe they change it up. But I feel like it's going to be one of those things like if he gets hurt in the first 4 weeks, you're hurting right now. You took him at 4.
yeah,
You could have took CD or another wide receiver because when you come back on that second round, let's say you fade running back there, you're going to be in a tough spot when it comes to these running backs. And I think this is why when we hit previous episodes before talking about that running back dead zone,
yeah,
it's going to be wicked out there. It's going to
yeah.
be one of those things you're going to be sitting tight. Like, I should have just listened to the tea leaves, man. Like, that's a lot of football.
Yeah, and you go and you play through the Super Bowl, all those games, like that's you get banged up. And I talked about this before, probably with you, is that's a long stretch, and you want to make sure as the Eagles organization that you're going to be having Saquon Barkley when you play in the Super Bowl next year. That is your plan. Your plan is to defend your championship, and that's why you go sign AJ Dillon. That's why you get Will Shipley in the draft. You want to take some of these carries off of Saquon Barkley, and I think they'll utilize him. But we typically we see these running backs, they have a great year and it's very tough to follow that up with another year. You made a really good point about, say he gets an ankle injury or a hammy or something like that early in the season. He takes a couple games off that he didn't have to take off last year. That does impact who you got in that round. And Saquon already, because his offense is high powered, he was more shoddy than we realized. Like he had some down games last year. So for me, I don't mind taking Saquon here. I kind of like taking CD right here instead. If or hoping that Bijan falls to me, or maybe somebody else takes Jettis falls to me. But
Yeah.
Saquon, he's a tough pick to trust right here. I think he's earned it, but I don't know that I draft him a lot here.
Yeah. I could tell you 100% I'm not taking Saquon at 4. Like,
You taking
no.
CD instead? Because CD
CD.
Lamb, bruh. So
But here's what you just said. You could take CD, or in that scenario we just talking about that Justin Jefferson falls to us or
yeah.
Bijan falls to us. That's like the no brainer right there for me. So it's like I'm not taking Saquon at all.
Well, you said CD Lamb. CD Lamb gets his quarterback back. Dak is healthy again. And they brought in George Pickens. So we've seen CeeDee Lamb over the years be this target volume. He was in consideration for the number one pick last year. CeeDee Lamb obviously gets his QB. This offense has gone through a little bit of an overhaul. Are you still trusting
Yeah.
him to be like capable of this wide receiver one spot? You still trusting him to be 1,800 yards? You still trusting him to be 130 catches? Like where you at when it comes to CeeDee Lamb?
I mean, yes, I'm talking like this year's 1,600 yards should be the floor of what this offense could
The
be now.
floor?
Adding Pickens, the floor, like 1,600 yards, where CD has shown us and proven to us that he could put up 1,700 yards, like the rest of them. He could be a JJ. He could be in that conversation with Jamar Chase. That's why he's going this high in drafts. Now we're getting a more efficient, let's call it that, Cowboys offense where they're going to be more lethal in scoring in less time. They're going to be more lethal in areas of disguising some of these plays with George Pickens now added to this. George Pickens is a threat just by name. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Your
facts.
second best corner, your undrafted free agent corner is not going to be able to stop him. He now has to work. It's not Turbin. It's not some random off the street they pulling in to act as the wide receiver too, and your main guy on CD all day. No, your main guy gonna have to come over here and check Pickens because Pickens is getting these balls 60, 70-yarder bombs. Like this is what this offense can be, but CD is still gonna be able to produce at a high level efficiently because they're going to have to check Pickens. So
Yeah,
with
and
this is happening, bro, it's like CD gonna be having crazy games. Crazy.
crazy, bro. Especially out the slot, because they're gonna put him in the slot and
What?
he's going up against slot corners. That's where he was doing all that damage.
What do you
And
think that safety gonna come down and try to do? And Pickens gonna go dumb, bro. Like
yeah,
it's playing out in front of us.
And you got 1,300 yards, 1,700 yards, and then 1,100 yards in 15 games last year. It's like it's the same CeeDee Lamb. It's really does he get the touchdowns, and having another receiver on the outside is only going to help him in my opinion. So that's why I think
Bro.
for him it's like him or Saquon at that number 4 spot, maybe Gibbs, but him or Saquon really for me. And I find myself wanting to take CeeDee Lamb a little bit more than Saquon at that spot. But
Facts.
Gibbs though, I
Yeah.
mean, had an incredible finish to the year last year, and now Gibbs is one of those players where like you need to take him. You know he has the upside, but like, do you take him over Saquon and Bijan? I think that's the big question.
I think you could question Saquon and Gibbs, rightfully so, because again, there's still that consensus unknown. What does this offense look like? What does this offense look without Ben Johnson? How are the running backs going to be deployed? Monty has been banged up, a couple times. So I think maybe we're seeing reports that Gibbs is getting more utilized as a deep threat, a vertical threat, getting moved around, coming out of the slot, and all this other stuff. Like they want to use him more as a passing threat, but this may be more workload on him as well. So there's the side of where, like, there could be upside, there could be a downside of this, but I think at the end of the day, I still like Gibbs over Saquon though. Just with that youth, that home run upside, and just the operation of that offense.
I mean, I can't debate that. I can't debate it. And the thing is, I have Saquon. I don't know why the floor seems a little bit easier for me because when you change the offense around, things happen as well. So no more Ben Johnson. You lose Frank Ragnow. It's like, okay, maybe there's some changes in this offense. David Montgomery is back now. For me, there's some question marks. Whereas I look at Saquon and I'm like, pretty much everything's the same. And outside of them potentially like limiting his workload as the season goes on,
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs has the upside, but I think we need a David Montgomery injury to see the full capabilities of what Jahmyr Gibbs can be. So
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it, and I think his passing workload is still going to be there, 50 to 60 catches somewhere around there. But for me, I don't know, I'm a little more cautious when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs.
That might be low right now thinking about it, bro. Because if he's getting talked about now wanting to be more as a vertical threat, I kind of believe it,
Yeah,
because I think they want to air that ball out. So I might have to raise him up now in the rankings as we live talk about
yeah. As we
this.
talking about it, sometimes that
This
shit
is
matters too.
crazy. Yeah.
This next three picks: Puka, Malik Neighbors, Christian McCaffrey.
Mm.
Who's out of place for you? Is there any of these that are out of place for you? Because I'm not feeling these next three, and they all kind of go very similarly as far as ADP wise.
CMC, bro. Like we got to have this conversation. Like
Really,
I am not willing to burn here, right here.
first round is tough.
That's what I'm saying. I was cool when we was letting him slide on the early, like 201. I'm cool. Whoever at that 12, you go ahead. All for you. But now this is where people gonna get up there like, yo, CMC over Puka over Neighbors.
Yeah,
They could talk themselves into why. Devontae Adams and Puka, yeah, nah, cool. Oh, Russell Wilson is trash, Winston's trash, and we don't know Jackson Dart. Cool. You can literally hype yourself up to get back on this CMC train when, look, bro, in the last year, this boy got married, had a kid. He just led the league in touches 2 years ago and said, I'm cool off sailing. I am about to be out of here. He's telling us.
sometimes
He's
that's a
telling.
distance.
He is telling us, bro, I am cool off this CMC price, bro. I'm going to let the fancy streets chirp, Bart talk. I am anti CMC, bro.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
even to me. It's like you're injury prone, and I hear everything you saying because you're saying is valid. It's like a lot of times you don't even think about the off field stuff, which a lot of times that matters in fantasy more than we want to admit. The
Bro,
off the field stuff matters.
bro, we adults. We grown up here. We've been through life and know how some of these things work in
I got
real
three
time.
kids, bro, so
Bro,
I'm like, that
I
should
got
affect me
two of them
here.
joints.
I'm looking at the clock like I might have to get off this stream and go make some dinner.
Brother, I got dinner going right now, bro.
But yo,
Yo,
but it's not even just that. Like he's only had 4 healthy seasons in 8 years. How
bro,
can you
that's
be my first
crazy.
pick if you have not been healthy for half the time you've been in the league? So it's
Bro, I'm
you're only
telling you.
taking him up here because of the upside. But the upside is him playing 15, 17 games, and he's proven half the time he doesn't do that. It's such a wild card for me. In the second round, if I already have an established pick, cool. If he falls to me in the second, I'm much more likely to take him in like mid-second. But for
Bro.
me, Christian McCaffrey, first round, they don't go together, bro.
This is why we here, bro. And whoever tapped in, please take these gems and understand you're getting equipped with all the ammo and tools to win your leagues this year, bro. Tap in. This is
Tap in.
crazy.
I would go start a little Puka tangent, but I don't want to spend another 5 minutes on why I'm fading Puka, especially you're a Rams fan, so
You know what? How about we do that for the exclusive? We'll talk about that on TikTok.
we'll talk about that
We're
on
gonna
TikTok. You're right.
we'll
We're
get
gonna
on
be over
TikTok.
there in just a little bit, but
I'm
this
writing it down so we can get back to it too.
hell yes. So this back half of this first round though, it's Ashton Genty, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry. So for me, when I look at this, the eyesore here is obviously Ashton Genty. And that's the
Yeah.
one player he's going right now is the RB5. That's the one player I have so many questions about. And I brought this point up multiple times. You know, if you're gonna take Ashton Genty, what numbers do you have attached to that? Because if you don't have realistic numbers, why aren't you taking Derrick Henry with 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns? Those two are going back to back right now. Genty, if he hits 1,900 yards, would have one of the greatest rookie running back years ever in
Ever.
history.
Ever.
I'm
He's
like,
out of there.
and I'm like, that's actually one of the best running back years in history, and we just got that out of Derrick Henry. So for me, that's one of the big eyesores here, and I do have a little bit of concern about Amon-Ra St. Brown too.
I think we are, brother. I think we do. With that knee getting cleaned up and the podcast, and he outside, bro. He's outside. But I do think, if it is a slow start and you take him here, you have recovery redemption at this point in the draft. You feel me? You have recovery redemption. You take this risk. Scared money don't make money. Just wrap around with Drake London. Wrap around with Brian Thomas Jr.
Get
Like
some other
you have a safety net here to make this wrong or right. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not even like gonna like get into a battle if you go Genty or Brown here, if you go Genty or if you go Brown or Henry, because it's like I want an elite wide receiver. It's been proven in the last 2 out of the 3 years with Ben Johnson, this boy's been a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. So it's like that holds weight, brother.
It does, and this first round, you go through these players, and most of them don't have like huge question marks, or maybe if they have question marks, they have huge upside. So let us know your guys' thoughts right now, Quan. If you had a first round that you wanted to go through, real quick, if you can, first round you want to go through, top 12 picks. What's your first round looking like? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
First round. If I have my first round pick. Here's how I would draft the first round of fantasy football this year. I go Bijan Robinson, number 1. I go Jamar Chase, number 2. I go Justin Jefferson, number 3. CeeDee Lamb, number 4. Saquon Barkley, number 5. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 6. Malik Neighbors, number 7. Brian Thomas, number 8. Malik Neighbors, number 9. Devon Achane, who we haven't talked about yet.
Ooh.
Number 10, Derrick Henry. Number 11. Did I say AJ Brown already? Drake London? Those are my last 2. Number 11, Drake London. And number 12, AJ Brown. That's my top 11. Or top 12, excuse me. Let me know what y'all think.
That's pretty dope.
Did I miss somebody? I feel like I missed somebody.
Let me see, man.
Did I break up on that? Or
I'm trying to think. Nah, you didn't.
All right.
I heard you on the back end. Am I still good?
Yeah, you good. You good. Better now.
All right. So 1, we agree is Bijan. That's a lock. 2, Chase. Debate, argue with yourselves. 3, I'm going Justin Jefferson. Blessing. 4, 5, I'm going Neighbors. CeeDee Lamb.
Ooh, okay.
6, I'm going Puka. 7, Barkley. 8, Gibbs. 9, Drake London.
I like that.
10, Amon-Ra. 11, Henry. And at number 12, AJ Brown.
Yeah, I see. Ooh, damn. So hold on a second. Bro, hold on a second. So hold on. You said Malik at number 4?
4. Yeah. Number 4. You know why?
Write that down. Write that down.
Number
Go
4.
ahead, but write that down.
Number 4, because we got to look at Russell Wilson. Even if Russell Wilson gives us 8 games out of the 14 we need, right? This is a core time in your fantasy like season right here trying to get to the playoffs. Russell Wilson was second in completion percentage on deep targets, right?
Okay.
On a air yards per game, Malik Neighbors had 109 yards per game, which was third in the NFL, right? So they obviously have a want to get that deep ball connection to Neighbors. This is what's going to put him in this freak tier conversation this season with Russell Wilson. Because if he connects more on these deep balls and he creates more of these big plays on a deeper route, like when the A dot increases, we already know what's about to happen to the yards production. Malik Neighbors could have 1,700 yards this season
But he's
with
got to
two
get
different
the
quarterbacks.
touches. He's got to get the targets and he's got to get the completions. Because when we
Oh,
talking about Neighbors too, like he's not just obviously not just a deep ball guy. It's going to be there, but like you also got other guys on the team, Jalen Hyatt and shit, man. Like I don't
but
know.
listen, he gave us 1,200 yards last season with Tommy DeVito. That's it. He had 1,200 yards, right? With Tommy DeVito. I'm telling you now, when you add this long ball to his game with Russell Wilson, these numbers are about to be video game because it's going to be like he just had 110 yards in the first freaking half. You're going to be like, how? Because he had a 70-yarder bomb.
But who has Russ ever took to that type of level target wise? Like the thing is, he'll spread it out, or his A dot is crazy, but that means his attempts are going to be lower, right? He's not going to be a volume passer. I don't get it unless Russ becomes elite. Like unless we're just missing the mark completely on Russell Wilson, and he's still, which I don't doubt that he's still a good quarterback.
I'd say the last year he had in Denver, I hold, right?
Okay,
Statistically, it was not a terrible season. There was just a
right?
lot of up and down that season, for obvious reasons. Russ can still play the game of football. Russ didn't have the Neighbors last season. He had to deal with Pickens and Calvin Austin. He now has Wandell Robinson to dump it off. He now has Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo to dump it off. High check down percentage. Now you have Neighbors that can do anything and everything in the goddamn playbook and turn a little catch of little yardage into a very large one into touchdowns. This is all you need with this system with Russ to operate decent. That's why I feel as though he would at least give us 8 games because we have to have real life factor into this. If they losing, they're gonna rip him out.
And this might be a cold ass statement. This might be one of them I look back at and be like, "Damn, Jay, why you say it?" But talent wise, I don't know that I think that there's this like crazy discrepancy between Malik Neighbors and George Pickens. Talent wise, I don't know that I think that they're both good with their body, can both catch balls downfield. Dexterity is there. Both have good hands. I don't know outside of the volume, like if Pickens was in that same scenario last season that Neighbors was in and had 200 targets or 180 targets, whatever it was, they're very similar receivers to me. Like George Pickens and Neighbors aren't that different to me.
That's a crazy take, brother. And here's why. One can
Neighbors is better, but
never.
they're not like that much different to me.
No, they're different in terms of what they can do, right? Not saying Pickens can't turn a 20-yard catch into a 60-yard touchdown. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that at a higher rate, you can get that out of Neighbors versus a Pickens, right? Because Pickens will disappear from games.
That's
Neighbors will show presence in games that he should not have presence in. You know what I mean? And he'll end up having like goddamn 10, 11 targets. That is the difference between the two. To me, like it comes down to everything on the table when you're looking at the two wide receivers here.
Let us know what y'all think about that Neighbors and Pickens and Neighbors in general as the number 4 pick off the board for Quan. Let's get into some questions before we get into the second round here. Chill little live today. You know what? We always do mock drafts, and I think today is a little. It's good to have a chill session. We can go over things a little bit more detail instead of being so rapid fire on everything. Who are you guys not looking to draft, but you will be eyeing how they perform week 1, 2 for waiver pickup? One player that I'm not drafting, actually two. Actually, I'll save one of them for you in case you say it. Calvin Austin is one of them that I'm like looking at, but I'm not necessarily drafting because if A-Raj develops any kind of like Randall Cobbish connection with him or usage, I think he'll be valuable throughout the year, especially like he might pop off. But that's a real deep player. I'm not really drafting him though.
Chigga Conquo is for me. Just with
Chick? We
yeah.
done seen Chick, bro. He done had his time.
No, we ain't seen
We
Chigs
done
ain't been
seen Chick.
outside, bro.
We done seen
Chill.
Chick, bro.
He got the co-sign from Brian Callahan at the end of last season, so it's like he's playing faster. There's plans for him, right? he has John Newish like athletic abilities. And I think now with Cam Ward, he's shown us that he can elevate the tight end position with Elijah Arroyo. So I feel like, new rookie coming in, making them best friend with one of the most explosive players you've had on this offense outside of Calvin Ridley. So I do think there's opportunities there for him. I'm not drafting him, but he's definitely one of those guys that are like, I'm really curious of like how this falls out.
Well, see, I was thinking maybe you would go Tutu Atwell because I think him as the third in that offense,
Man,
he got a little potential.
McVay be lying, bro.
Yeah, hey, baby lying. Listen, I gotta
Bro,
get this take like, bro. Every fucking preseason, we get this out of Sean McVay. He does this on purpose, and I don't know if people realize this. He says something crazy and off the fucking wall, and it never happens.
yo,
3 years ago, Cooper Cup's gonna be our kicker, our place kicker. What the fuck was that? Last year, Kyrie Williams gonna be returning punts. Like, what is going on with McVay, bro? Why does he do this? He's just a flat out troll, bro.
bro, he be trolling sometimes, and he know what stir the fantasy streets are. I swear he be more tapped in than folks really think, bro. And like he be lying, bro, because like how you gonna be like, oh,
Lying.
I want to utilize Tutu, a lot more this season, gave him the contract, and then you go draft Terrence Ferguson, go back to 12 personnel. Where Tutu gonna be at, bro, in 12P, bro? Nowhere. He about to have a ball with Terrence Ferguson this season, bro. And this is real life purposes. I'm just talking about usage here. Like it's gonna be annoying to have Tutu. So I say best ball leagues,
Who
get
was
him.
who was the tight end last year? I forgot to start. Why can't I think of his name right now? I'm blanking on it.
So we had Colby Parkinson,
Parkinson.
and then yeah,
So he was
because
like, "Oh
Tyler
yeah,
Higbee was
Colby
out.
Parkinson's going to be a big part of our offense." And
Hunter
then, bro,
Long,
3 catches, 29 yards every damn
Hunter
week.
Long, yeah. And the thing about Parkinson's, he was supposed to be taking the torch from Higbee, but he not. That's not it,
Nah,
bro.
little off topic, but does Beal and the Clippers have more or less fantasy value than he did staying on the Suns with Green and Book? I think he has more value. This Clipper team's going to be nasty. They're playing for something. So I think when they're playing, the only thing is Bill's just got to stay healthy. That's a Bradley Beal thing, not a anything else but that. Whether he's on the Suns, Clippers, etc. I think it's less value, same value, whatever it is. Thoughts on Dylan Sampson? Depends on what happens with Judkins, but walking into a very nice receiving role, in my opinion.
Facts. It's gonna be him and four for a while.
Yeah, Smooth was good. Smooth on Twitch. Shout out to those watching on Twitch, man. If you're on Twitch, man, show us some love on there. You think Jerome Ford is going to be sneaky late round pick because of Judkins situation? I don't know.
I
Flex at best.
Yeah, I don't see him like as a weekly starter, man. Because honestly, we've seen him as a starter already. Like we know
Yeah,
who he is and
we
what
know
he
who he
brings.
is.
Yeah,
All right, a couple more, and then we're going to get back into the second round. We may only be able to get to 2 rounds today, just depending on the time. So let's see how fast we can get through these questions and then get to the next round. Are you guys doing redraft content? This is all redraft content as of right now. How'd you
facts.
rank Kamara, Walker, Henderson, Chuba? Kamara, Walker. I go Kamara, Walker, Chuba, Henderson. That's mine. I don't know if you got it the same.
Uh, yeah, the first two, Chuba before Henderson, actually. Yeah,
Genty is a top 3 back over Neighbors, Nico, Amon Ra, Henry, AJB. 300 touches loaded. So, Mark, hopefully you're watching. Hopefully you're watching because I want you to answer this right now. Please put this in the chat. I will put this up on the page and me and Laquan will discuss this.
yes.
What do you think his numbers will be? If you think he should be the 4th running back off the board, the 7th player overall, please post what Ashton Genty's numbers will be this season. I will calculate the points, and then Laquan and I will discuss Mark Sampson, your exact question right here on live. We will both. I will extended 5-minute session just for you. Post his numbers. Okay? Post the Genty numbers. That's all I want. And they said I was wilding about the Neighbors and Pickens. Maybe a little bit. Maybe.
Man, you wildin', bro.
I'll be saying some crazy shit. Hey, sometimes it comes true though. You know what I'm saying? So
Listen, bro, I'm telling you, man. Neighbors, reason why he number four is for those reasons. But bro, I'm willing to roll the dice here with it. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
like he's in that conversation. We talk about CDs and Jamar and Justin Jefferson, bro.
he is. I mean, he's up there. And I know you got some ties.
Niggas that strong wide receiver too. Like we talk about him in the same light as like the Chris Godwins and Devontae Smiths and maybe under T Higgins, but just that's situational.
Yeah. First, second. Why I say second, first round? let's get this right. Second round ADP. Let's
Right.
talk about it. So obviously at the top of the second round, there's some players that could drop, and I think this is the area where there's like players might fall, right? Like you might see St.
Yeah.
Brown down here, you might see Derrick Henry down here, CMC down here. But right now, Nico Collins is at the top here at pick number 13. He's the 13th player off the board, wide receiver 7. And Nico Collins obviously has struggled to stay healthy. That's one of the things I kind of been concerned about when it comes to Nico Collins and his ADP right now, right? Like he's just had a trouble staying on the field. The team got Christian Kirk. You go get Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. The offense is ran through Joe Mixon. And
Mhm.
obviously they're going to want to turn up the aerial attack, get CJ Stroud a little bit better. But I think Nico Collins, this is good value for him. I don't know that I'd want to take him first round. I kind of like this draft spot for him, maybe a pick or two below, but this seems like a really good fit.
Yeah, like the 203 spot is where I got him pinned at. Like I'd rather get him there. Like I feel more comfortable there than grabbing him in that first round. But I think a lot of folks like are just scared about the injury bug that constantly keeps biting him. And like we know if he gives us 17 games, bro, he is top 5 potential. And it's based off of his quarterback and the system running through him. Like he is the function of the offense. Like we've seen the offensive drop off, and thank God they had Diggs there to kind of keep them up and flowing at times. But
Yeah.
it's more so of like I feel as though I feel more comfortable backing him up instead of on that right there on that turn.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's like you can have another pillar as opposed to Nico being the pillar. And I think that there's more reason for that. So what about Brian Thomas? He's here at number 14, the wide receiver 8 off the board, and we're talking pillars. To me, Brian Thomas has all the makings of a pillar receiver. He's somebody that can press for 1,500 yards, can press for 10 touchdowns, press for 100 catches. I really like Brian Thomas. I think this is an extreme value if you're able to get him in your draft, especially if you pair him with, like you talked about, that safer Amon-Ra, St. Brown, somebody that's a little bit safer. I think you get massive upside. He's even a player I would reach for in the first round.
Like I think we've discussed my issues with Trevor Mid Lawrence and everything that goes on over
Come
there.
on, man.
I just feel like we're again that bubble that's that orbit that elephant in the room that's not being discussed is Travis Hunter. How much of he is going to be designed and involved on this offense? Because people can believe that he's going to do 50-50 and he's going to be on defense too. Bro, outside of Travis Hunter, we look into Parker Washington. We look into Brenton Strange. Like, there's nobody else. De'Ami Brown, like, no. So there's obviously going to be a 1-2 punch here. And I say that because of volume. Is Travis Hunter actually going to have like a 20% target share on this team? Because that's an issue for Brian Thomas Jr. on a volume standpoint. Because I do think they want to be aerial. They want to be like how Tampa offense was last year. They want Trevor Lawrence to throw up 45 touchdowns this year in this system.
Yeah, they do.
But again, can he execute that? One, if he continues to struggle, if he takes a step back, or if he gets injured again, the drop off is not going to be your savior, Mac Jones, anymore to make Brian Thomas Jr. to even have that surge that we're championing him right here at. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
he comes with a baggage of red flags.
I hear you, but Brian Thomas, to me, the reason why I like taking him in the first round, and I hear like, there's going to be some consistency issues potentially, right? But then there's also the potential that this looks exactly like it did with the Rams and with the Bucks. We have a strong receiver 1, we have a strong receiver 2, and both guys are very fantasy friendly. You talk about that Mike Evans role. Well, Brian Thomas is much more athletic than Mike Evans was. And then you have the Godwin role for Travis Hunter. And that's kind of how I see this thing playing out. Kate Auden playing that, or Brenton Strange playing that Kate Auden role. You got the multiple backs there. I think Brian Thomas, the reason why it's so intriguing is because if Trevor is looking downfield a little bit more, we're talking about a guy that runs a 4-3, big body, can get up there and go get it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's a playmaker, and Trevor showed willingness to throw that ball down there. They already have the connection. I see him being like, he was already a top 5 receiver last year. There's more upside in that this year, in my opinion. So I like Brian Thomas. I get your concerns, but I'm all in on that Brian Thomas, Trevor Super
Trevor
Lawrence.
Mid Lawrence.
Trevor
Oh, you
Super
gonna
Lawrence.
throw super? Oh no!
Trevor Super Lawrence. That's what I'm going to
He's
start
gonna
calling
be
him all year now.
super disappointed, bro. Stay healthy. That's all I'm gonna say. That's gonna have to come back,
Sunshine, right?
man.
What about Devon Achane? He's here at number 15, the RB7 off the board. A lot of people wanted him higher last year. He improved and finished the season. No Raheem Mostert anymore in this Miami offense. Where are you at when it comes to Devon Achane?
This could be a dark horse RB1 to be honest. I mean, like
That's right.
that's real facts though, because we've seen the glimpses at this Dolphins offense at its peak of talent. And we've seen it on 100 redlining of like, oh my God, this is a top three offense. He's in that and he's more developed and there's more years under his feet of experience in the system. And he is still heavily involved in the red zone as a pass catcher. That's why he's going to have those opportunities of catching the ball and falling to the end zone. That's just how their system is made. So he has involvement when they're in their most high power scoring offense. So yeah, he could be a dark horse RB1 here. And like to snag him in the second this early, you got to feel good about your RB1 having that opportunity.
Yeah, if he has the chance to get like 300 touches, I think Achan could go crazy. Like 300, 350 touches. Like if they really say, okay, you're in the prime of your career, we got to see if you can be our feature back if we're going to give you a contract. Like
Yeah.
I think Achan has all the makings of like if he stays healthy for 17 games, for sure he would be like him and Bijan are going to compete to be the one. Like
But it
just straight up.
but think about this. Folks that are coming back outside, they not going to put him all the way up here. Now, imagine you fade Saquon and you go with Devon Achan in the second round. Look how you sitting now. That's another reason why I don't like Saquon.
And imagine, yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at that. And imagine if he gets the pass catching volume too. Like they made him a big part of the offense. John, who's now gone, it's like you have him as the number 3 receiver essentially. Like shit could get
People
crazy.
scared of Tua. I would be too. I would be
Yeah,
too.
but
But
you
I
got
get
Zach
it.
Wilson there now. It's not as bad of a drop off as it was over in
You
years
got
past.
Quinn Ears. He's over there. Ew.
Oh my god. What about these two receivers, right? AJ Brown, Drake London. They both are good in different ways. AJ Brown, obviously consistent 1,400-yard threat in a high-powered offense. Drake London, a little younger with some upside, had an incredible year last year, tied to Michael Penix now.
Yeah.
You like these rankings for these two, wide receiver 9, wide receiver 10, which that's recently flip-flopped. It used to be people must have been hearing me pound the table for AJ Brown.
Bro, listen. Flip a coin. You
Yeah.
you hit the lottery spot. This is the exact position I want to be at on the board where you could literally flip a coin here. You have both guys that right now, I think Drake London, we could start putting him in that 14 to 1,500-yard pocket. With Michael Penix wanting to stretch the field, they want to get more vertical. This offense is going to be high power with the pieces they got. So you could literally flip a coin here of who you want. It's just going to come down to who do you think is going to have more touchdowns, because the production, the volume, the catches, it's all going to be there.
Yeah, I think if you have drafted upside, I'm good with you taking AJ Brown. And if you want extreme upside, take Drake London because if
Yes.
things hit with him and Michael Penix, we're talking about a wide receiver 1 candidate. I don't know that AJ Brown has that. He's just more of a lock to be a top 5 to 6 type receiver for me than Drake London is. And I think Drake London will be there. It's just I know AJ Brown's going to be there if he stays healthy. So it's pick your poison. You want upside or you want floor. In the weekly floor, a lot of people say this. They say, oh, AJ Brown, he's not consistent. AJ Brown only had one game last year where he did not score double-digit fantasy points at the receiver position in PPR.
Insane. They better stop
Insane.
playing.
So a lot of people think he's inconsistent. He's actually very consistent when it comes to
Yeah.
the receiver play. This next cluster is interesting. 18 to 20. We got Brock Bowers, the first tight end off the board at pick
Yeah.
18. Jonathan Taylor, disrespected running back here at RB8, which it's better than it was. And then
Yeah.
we got Lad McConkey here at wide receiver 11. Which one of these are you like, damn? Which one of these are you most interested in? Let's put it this way. Which one are you most interested in?
JT, even though I feel like you're rolling the dice there too. I feel like the last 3 seasons we look back, he has not been healthy. Like it's been one thing or the other, you know? And like I look at that and like if I'm gonna draft him knowing he may miss a chunk of games, but he still turned up last year, those last 4 games. I mean, playing trash defenses
Man,
does help.
he went
Helps the
crazy.
case. He went crazy. It does help the case of when you come to this decision, like, what could this ceiling actually be? Again, we're talking about a running back that has possibly top 5 upside if all things fall right at the quarterback position. So if he's healthy, I'll take that upside versus Lad where we have our concerns. And Brock Bowers, I just hate taking the tight end this early. Like, that's what it is. Like, really.
To me, I look at both of those picks, Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, and it feels like these are industry picks. It feels like these are like, oh, I
I
can't
like how
miss
you
this
labeled
play.
that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not like
Yeah.
I think there's a whole lot of merit behind it because Brock Bowers, yes, he had 1,100 yards, but this offense is going to be different. It's a whole different offense now under Pete Carroll, under Chip Kelly. You also have additional weapon here in Ashton Genty, who everybody's taking in the first round. I'm sure that's going to take some value away from Brock Bowers, an elite talent. But in the second round here, you want game changers, the focal point of the offense. I don't know that Brock Bowers is going to be the focal point of this Raiders offense. And then same thing for Ladd. It's like you get Amarion Hampton in the first round. You bring over Najee Harris. Or which one is the focal point? Whereas Jonathan Taylor, we know he's the focal point, the rock of that offense. So I think Browers and McConkey are more like third round assets. I don't know if I'm gonna
That's
go further than that.
bro. This
Why
is
is it
an industry pick. This is exact. That is a bar right there. Industry pick because
I'm
I
dropping
don't
gems,
get the
bro?
ideology of how these two sit right here. Like, why are they going this high? Like, I don't feel comfortable with it. Like, bro, this is an industry ass pick.
Yeah. The industry will do that to you too, man. The
Bro,
last four picks of this round, LQ.
steal.
We got Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, Lamar Jackson. The first quarterback off the board. So all running backs here. We'll have 11 running backs and 11 receivers off the board ending the second round based on ADP right now.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs being disrespected, Bucky Irving, obviously off of a strong year last year, Chase Brown off a strong year last year, Lamar Jackson. I get it if you want to take a quarterback here. You're probably going to take him third round anyway.
Yeah.
Which one of these players is out of place?
Josh Jacobs for good
Out of place
reason.
in a good way or bad way?
In a good way. I would honestly take him at the 202 spot. So I'm looking at
Damn.
Josh Jacobs higher than JT, higher than Bowers. Maybe I would debate AJ Brown and Josh Jacobs if I can get on that turn. But at the end of the day, it's like Josh Jacobs ain't got nobody behind him in production. Like we've seen him be a workhorse of an
What about
offense and
Marshawn Lloyd though, bro?
bro. Availability is your best ability. I gotta say it. I
Yeah.
gotta say it because I think at the end of the day, he's the future. But Josh Jacobs is now and present showing us every year he is disrespected in rankings, and it's crazy to me.
I like Josh Jacobs a lot too, and I think this is a good spot for him. But he does belong closer to Jonathan Taylor, and those two for me are neck and neck. One's floor, one's upside. Josh Jacobs every year is a top 10, top 12 back.
Yeah,
Like, and then last
facts,
year coming off of an incredible season where Jordan Love obviously was banged up. He had 1,300 yards. Like, we
bro.
know what kind of back Josh Jacobs is. So for me, I think he definitely is in this realm. The players I can't get with are Bucky and Chase Brown. And it's not because of the talent, it's really because of who they're going at. We haven't got out of the top 12 backs yet. We're talking about
Facts.
players who Joe Mixon, why is he not in this conversation? Why
Hey,
is
listen,
Alvin
I'm not
Kamara?
mad. I am not mad at Joe Mixon. I'm not mad at Josh Jacobs' current ADP where it's sitting. I am
Yeah,
cool.
for us it worked. For us it worked. You feel
I
me?
ain't complaining. I'm just
Brees
saying
Hall?
this shit
I
is
like Brees Hall
this
too.
Brees, man. He got a chip on his shoulder. Where my money at?
Where my
Like, that's
money at,
how
I'm
he
keep
look.
trying to get paid. So
Yeah,
I think when it comes to these back end running backs, the thing in the second round is if you take one of these running backs right here, are you going to get the upside play that you want later with Tyreek Hill, with Brees Hall, with Alvin Kamara? Are you going to stack this because you're at the wraparound right here in 12-team leagues? And to take a
yeah.
Bucky Irving or Chase Brown, this is a lot of trust in your draft process and you hitting in the next round. So that's my only thought on these two is the reason why I'd rather take Lamar Jackson over Bucky and Chase Brown. And I don't take quarterback in
Absolutely.
the second round.
Me either. Yeah, I like how you put that. I would definitely rather Lamar Jackson than Bucky and then Chase because there's some risk factor there with Bucky at least where it's like, oh wow, well this is not what we bought. And Lamar Jackson, that's a solid pick right there. You know he had his best freaking football. He had the most fantasy points ever
Yeah.
last season. Like, come on, dog. That title, he's the real MVP in my heart. Shit.
I ain't mad at that, bro. Well, let us know your guys' thoughts on the second round in the comments. Obviously, would love to get to a third round, but I think we're going to go head over to TikTok here in just a minute. Let's answer a few more questions, and then we can head over to TikTok and get to it. So, Mark, you said a top three back, and I promised you if you put up stats, we give you a little bit of attention. So here we go. 1,800 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, 57 catches, 450 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. So we're getting a 2,200-yard season, 20 touchdowns out of Ashton Genty, straight out the Mountain West. Brother, he said his goal was 1,510. That's what Ashton Genty said out of his own mouth.
Brother. Brother, what are we doing? This is nuts. This is the greatest rookie. This is the greatest human on the planet if he does these numbers. Like he has surpassed like any type of like I can't even put this into real words. This is incredible that you came back with this. This is high. You are a Raiders fan. You are a
This
Raiders fan.
is insane. Like CJ 2K, we talking 2,500 yards. That hasn't been done very often. And we had him at rookie year. What is he going to look like in his prime?
That's what I'm saying. You get this in year 3.
Yes.
Like, come on. Like, this is not realistic projections here. No.
This guy don't know ball. Listen, even this to me is wild. Like 1,600 total yards, 8 touchdowns. That's like an incredible, like Genty, you smashed all expectations year one. Like even this is a high
40,
projection.
40 catches to me, like, it's not high, but it's like, I could deal with that. I could see that. But it's like, Myers is there. Jack Best is there. Bowers needs to be fed. Like, there's still other mouths that can be fed in this offense.
Like, and you think about rookies coming in here, Mark. I'm gonna continue to get to you. I see the rest of you. I got you. I'm gonna continue to get to you. But you think about like generational type players, right? And you think of like Saquon Barkley. You think of Bijan Robinson, and Bijan Robinson's rookie year had 970 yards, 4 touchdowns receiving, 4 touchdowns rushing, another 58 catches in the air. Like, and that was a good season for him. Saquon Barkley had one of the best rookie running back seasons ever. One of the best. He finishes the number one running back. 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, 91 catches, 700 yards, and 4 receiving. And we got Ashton Genty at 2,300 yards.
Brother.
Wow. Generational back. That's crazy. 1,800. My bad. He backtracked. He said 1,800 too high.
Yeah, brother. Like, you got to really think about that.
Rushing touchdowns of 13. So final total is this: 1,500 yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, 50 catches, 404 TDs.
Oh, that's like Jonathan Taylor, like Josh Jacobs numbers, and these are well established guys. We didn't get that immediately. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I ain't
I
there.
get it.
I mean,
I get the fandom.
he's an elite prospect, and I wanted to give you the time that I promised you. 54 fantasy points. You think that you need to go to Vegas. Go to Vegas and just drop 10K,
Drop the mortgage
30K. Drop the mortgage on 1,000 rushing yards. His rushing total is like 1,074. I just want to say so.
because the Raiders O line. All right, ain't
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mostert there, like he's a journeyman that can still work. But all right,
I mean, hey, if he does that, Mark, we got to have a talk at the end of the year, bro. And I'm gonna give you all the fantasy glory. So make sure you come back.
your hand.
I will. I'll shake your hand, bro. Everything free the next year, bro. I'll give you J-Hand Fantasy free. I ain't even rolled it out yet, and I promise it to you for free, bro. Next year, whole thing, lifetime pass, bro. If he gets 2,300 yards, 350 fantasy points, come back here. You get everything free, bro.
Dog,
On me. All right, couple more and we out, man. J-Hand thoughts on H-Hand. H-Hand's a dark horse RB1. We just talked about that here.
Yeah, man.
Pete was using him like, Pete Carroll. It's just there's a lot. Ain't no way, man. Listen, last one here. J-Han Jacobs and been my go-to drafted. Jacobs been my go-to to draft at the end of the first round. You have him next to or close to H-Han. If you're going to take H-Han, take Jacobs next. In the first round, H-Han first, Jacobs next. You're fine. You got floor upside.
Yes.
And yes, sorry, Nick, we already answered this. It was Camaro, Walker, Chuba, Henderson. You added Harvey when we already talked about this. I got Henderson over Harvey. So
No.
you got Harvey over Henderson?
Yes.
Harvey's a backup too.
Yo, y'all on here talking crazy,
Harvey's a
son.
backup.
Yo.
Hey, write it down. If you want to continue the
All right.
conversation, we heading over to TikTok here in about 15 minutes. Join LaQuan and I on TikTok, man. Shout out to y'all for rocking. We will see you guys on the next one. Peace out, y'all.